Really an honor to be here in Detroit and be in Michigan the last few days, surrounded by supporters and folks working so hard on the ground on this issue. The bottom line is, if you want rich white guys to sell pot gummy bears in your community, you should vote for this initiative. But if you want hope, not dope, if you want real schools and actual investments in our society, in our youth, in our community, this is totally the wrong way to go. It will take years to figure out the exact consequences of what's happening in Colorado and other states, but we can share with you a few early tidbits. One is that the underground market in Colorado, Oregon, and other legal states is thriving. You now have a double whammy. You have the underground market thriving because they're undercutting the legal price, the taxed price, and then you have the promotion and the commercialization and normalization of 99% THC gummy bears. Even if you agree with some sort of limited legalization, which none of us do, but even if you do, this is a bad initiative. This is unlimited THC, unlimited potency. This is the edibles that were not banned. They could have banned it, but because this was funded partly by the tobacco industry, because this was funded almost and wholly also by the marijuana industry that stands to make money if this passes, there are no limits on potency. There are no limits on the kinds of products that can be created. There are very, very few limits even on the amount that you can possess. In fact, it's more marijuana than most other states, and it's also the lowest tax rate than most other states. It's really a poorly written initiative. And really what we see is the birth, with this initiative, the birth of the next big tobacco, the next big pharma. There's a reason why the CEO of Purdue Pharma, who basically marketed OxyContin and probably is responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people, that CEO is now the CEO of a marijuana company, and they're eyeing Michigan. The CEOs and the heads of the tobacco industries, they're eyeing Michigan. This is a big market for them. The CEOs of the largest alcohol marketing companies in the country now are eyeing Michigan. And a lot of people will say, well, Canada's over the border, they've legalized. This actually gives you the opportunity to set yourself apart from our northern neighbor. If you want an environment that is about prosperity and success and educational attainment and jobs and economic opportunity, come to Michigan. If you want a family-friendly environment where your chances of getting hit by a stoned driver are far less than in legal Canada, where teenagers in Canada can legally use marijuana, come to Michigan. This is a part to set aside. The idea that we would allow the government to try and regulate marijuana, I think is very sad, especially when we've seen how government, frankly, has a hard time regulating a lot of other things. The idea that we would allow the government to tell us whether or not there's pesticides or additives in these legal products is laughable. In Colorado, they have recalled hundreds of thousands of individual products because of additives, pesticides, and other issues. So this is not regulation at all. Now, that doesn't mean we should throw people in prison for pot. That doesn't mean we should give criminal records. I find it astounding that all these guys that went to Ivy League schools and got an MBA and live on Wall Street and want to sell marijuana are saying all of a sudden their justification is because of social justice. I don't know, have you guys seen them around in the previous social justice campaigns? No. I don't think so. They're in it for one reason and one reason only, and that's money. It's to get rich. It's to make the rich richer. If we are fooled into believing that people in inner city Detroit, maybe with criminal or other records, maybe with no access to millions of dollars in capital and loans, maybe who don't have cell phone numbers of the top leaders of our state, are gonna be the ones making money from this, are gonna be the ones that actually have to get, because you need $20 million to make money from this to even get that seed money. You need access to airtime. You need access to the power brokers of our state and country to even get in. There's a reason why John Boehner all of a sudden has embraced pot. He knows the right people and he knows how to get paid 6 figures if he says it's great and it's at a conference for 20 minutes. The issue is, this is not providing opportunity to people who need opportunity. That's why Compton, California is one of our biggest cities of support against the legalization of marijuana. They have rejected pot shops over and over again. They said, if you're gonna vote for this in California, you can have them in Beverly Hills. We don't want them here. We want hope, we want support, we want schools maybe with textbooks of this century. We want teachers being paid what they should be paid. We want social workers and people with treatment being able to offer that treatment to anyone who needs it. You know what? We already get tax revenue, folks. It's called alcohol and tobacco. How's that going? Are we able to give treatment on demand to anyone who needs it? Are we able to pay those frontline social workers who are saving lives from this opiate and the epidemic, by the way, the cocaine epidemic, which is still here, and the other drug epidemics, which are still here. They haven't gone away in many, many neighborhoods. Are we able to pay the treatment that we need from the legalization of other drugs? Of course not. No, there's a big Powerball tonight. I have a feeling that the Detroit schools aren't going to be fixed next year from the tax revenue of the tickets that are being bought today. These are more empty promises. It's from an industry that is totally unregulated, out of control, in the pockets of a certain number of politicians, unfortunately, who are out there for one reason and one reason only, and that's to get rich. We should reject Proposal 1, that's why I'm here, that's why we're surrounded by great community leaders. And really, the question is, are you going to believe the tobacco industry, or are you gonna believe the people around me that care about your community? That's the choice that you're gonna be making in 2 weeks. So thank you.